Yes, sir, brother.
Should I stand up?
Certainly. But feel if you're comfortable.
Yes. I'm from Albania, South Africa.
Yes.
I was very happy yesterday when I had to speak. When I was in Albania, we managed to get some records which had been smuggled through. Listen to the words of Malcolm X. And we were very much inspired by the youth. The situation was just like it is here today. Our elders had given up to the system. But when we heard Malcolm speak on the album, we realized that we could do something about it. So when I came in America, I was detained in South Africa and I managed to escape. And I went through to Botswana. I was a refugee in Botswana. And then I was, quote unquote, rescued by the United Nations. And I was sent over here to be re-educated. When I came here, I was more exposed to the writings and the works of Malcolm X. And I read very extensively the few books that he wrote. And I had some more of his albums from my friends. And the only thing I missed in this country was to meet Malcolm. I really wish I could have seen him or at least met him. I've never been inspired like that in my life. But now that somebody is risen in the image of Malcolm X, I'm very privileged. I'm very happy that I've seen him. In Tanzania today, people are in a state of confusion. But people in this country, black people in this country, they do not realize the relationship of the struggle between us in Southern Africa and us here in this country. There's a lot of brothers and sisters who came here with the that's true. I knew exactly how they feel to come over in America. They've read it, they've seen a lot of television, Sidney Poitier, James Brown, and some others, Muhammad Ali, and some other renowned black artists who are TV performers and movie filmmakers. They were very happy, I know, to come over here because they expected that type of America which is portrayed on the films all the time. But I knew that just like I was shocked as well, I knew that they have the shortcomings. The struggle of the African people not only end in South Africa, and Africans in America are not free as well. They are living in the same conditions that we used to live in when I was in South Africa. I'll give you an example. There is a white man called Donald Woods. Donald Woods went to the United Nations to testify about the death of my friend Steve Biko. I used to live with Steve Biko, but the white world would never let me testify about what Steve Biko did and how he died. Donald Woods became the authoritative figure outside who knew more about third world than I, who used to live, sit and eat and sleep with him and struggle and read, try to find the answer to our problem in the community. By saying this, I'm trying to make people aware that while people all over the world are one, today I am in third world with the rest of my brothers and sisters, and I'm very happy because where I become I'm more compatible. Donald Bush today is living in a palace. He's living in London. He's a professor. He's been taken care of by his white community. He's living the best life ever. And he's waiting for South Africa to be free, to go back home and live the same life that he's living today. But with me, there's no change. I'm in the same boat. I'm saying this because I really feel sorry for the brothers and sisters, especially in Houston. They are really trying to understand where we are coming from. They do not know the forces of nature that surround them and how we're being controlled overall just because we come from the same continent. All our roots are from the same continent. They think that people from Africa, in fact, they use a very, I don't know what to say about this, but their excuse is very, very weak. First they will say, you have an accent. And I tell them that if you go to Africa, you have an accent too. And I tell them that if you pay a visit to New York from Houston, they will tell you in New York you have an accent. So people are refusing, constantly refusing to try and see the reality that we want to come together. And it's only when we're united on that international basis that we can all be free. I have a question. I want you to know that, do you ever feel that people in this country, African people in this country, can never be free while we are still struggling to be free in Southern Africa? I might be wrong. I want your vision, the way you see the liberation of the African people in this country. Do you see it as an independent of Africa, or independent of the Africans? And Africans in America are not free as well. They are living in the same conditions that we used to live in when I was in South Africa. I'll give you an example. There is a white man called Donald Woods. Donald Woods went to the United Nations to testify about the death of my friend Steve Biko. I used to live with Steve Biko, but the white world would never let me testify about what Steve Biko did and how he died. Donald Woods became the authoritative figure outside who knew more about Third World than I, who used to live, sit and eat and sleep with him and struggle and read, try to find the answer to our problem in the community. By saying this, I'm trying to make people aware that white people all over the world are one. Today, I am in Third World with the rest of my brothers and sisters, and I'm very happy because I know this is where I'm more compatible. Donald Woods today is living in a palace. He's living in London. He's a professor. He's been taken care of by his white community. He's living the best life ever. And he's waiting for South Africa to be free, to go back home and live the same life that he's living today. But with me, there's no change. I'm in the same boat. I'm saying this because I really feel sorry for the brothers and sisters, especially in Houston. They really fail to understand where we are coming from. They do not know the forces of nature that surround them and how we're being controlled overall just because we come from the same continent. All our roots are from the same continent. They think that people from Africa, in fact, they use a very, I don't know what to say about this, but their excuse is very, very weak. First they will say, you have an accent. And I tell them that if you go to Africa, you have an accent too. And I tell them that if you pay a visit to New York from Houston, they will tell you in New York you have an accent. So people are refusing, constantly refusing to try and see the reality that we ought to come together. And it's only when we're united on that international basis that we can all be free. I have a question. I wanted to know that, do you ever feel that people in this country, African people in this country, can never be free while we are still struggling to be free in Southern Africa? I might be wrong. I wanted your vision, the way you see the liberation of the African people in this country. Do you see it as an independent of Africa, or independent of the Africans? Or do you see us being independent on an overall? In South Africa today, we are waging an armed struggle. We're not fighting because we are angry. We're not fighting because we are vicious. We're fighting because after we have liberated some certain zones, we have to defend them. And our enemy is vicious in South Africa, is using arms. We have no choice but to use the same arms that they use against us to defend ourselves. We're fighting from a position of strength, of weakness, against a very strong enemy. We see our struggle in this way. The only thing that is going to take place from now on, America is having its own struggles with Russia, as we all know. But there is more danger which is being faced by this country. They fear the rise of the Africans within this structure. And it is only then that Russia and America come together as friends under SALT 1, SALT 2, SALT 3. That's a Caucasian race. They kiss each other's cheeks when it comes to their common enemy. But we Africans, we don't have any point where we try to bring that relationship. Malcolm did go to Africa, and he had an overall understanding of the forces of nature that affect African people, and he was very clear that people in this country will never be free until Africa starts to wage its own African revolution against the East and the West. But now I want to know, African people in this country, when we wage our African revolution to secure the continent against Russia, against America, where would the African brothers be in this country?
First of all, my brother, I know why you stood, and so I'm standing too for you. I'm deeply touched by your words, and I want you to sift our words very carefully. Part of the conditioning that black people in America have undergone is to destroy our connection to Africa. That has been done so well that when you come from home to your own kith and kin over here who look just like you, they look upon you in many respects as a stranger, and you are rejected of your own because you are African. This is because of the unenlightened condition of our people. If they were themselves, they would open their arms to receive you. And they would know, how can we be free and you not be free? Your struggle and our struggle is the same struggle. My dear brother, the 520 or more American-based corporations that exist in Azania, South Africa, she is being fed from here. If the head of the serpent is cut off, the tail will automatically die. Azania is not the head of the serpent. England is not the head of the serpent. America is the head of the serpent of colonialism and imperialism that crushes the hopes of black people all over the world. This is why she works night and day to keep black Americans oppressed, because if we rise up here and this beast here is crippled, you are freed there from the fall of this one here. Now, we see our struggle as one struggle, but we recognize that we cannot effectively help in the struggle of our brothers over there until we effectively extricate ourselves from the grip of their oppression here. For black people to look at Africa and say, yes, I think we should send a little aid over there to those poor, struggling Africans. That's sickness. That's like a man hanging from a tree saying, I think we should get him down. Brother, we are more enslaved in many respects than our brothers over there, because at least they know they got an enemy to fight, and we are here cohabiting with the enemy. You understand? So look, my dear and beloved brother, we are committed as followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to the liberation of black people all over this planet. Wherever they may be found, we will not stop until all black people breathe free. The Bible talks about Moses growing up in Pharaoh's house, learning all of the wisdom of Pharaoh. But all Moses needed was a change of direction. And when he met with Jehovah in the burning bush, he decided to use all that Pharaoh had taught him, plus what Jehovah had given him, for the liberation of Israel. That's not in the Bible for conjecture. That's in the Bible to teach us a profound lesson. We in America have grown up in the house of the world leader. And in every branch of technology and engineering, science, medicine, and law, you'll find several blacks who have mastered that technology, and many who have engineered that technology, hidden away in corporate America. All black folk in America need is to come home to themselves, and we would have enough knowledge among us to liberate ourselves, and then send that expertise everywhere it's needed among black people. Now I'm going to close this point. It is true that America and Russia can have detente when they're thinking about crushing black people. But I hope to call to your attention the fact that after the First World War, and they had carved up Africa for the European nations, if you remember, they went to war again. White folks went to war with white folks over the spoils. of that same continent. This beast don't care nothing about his own white brother. If there's some profit to be gained, then what I'm respectfully suggesting to you is that America and Russia are going to clash. It is the inevitable confrontation, and you are at the door of that confrontation right now. That's the only way God can take the two superpowers off the back of the people of the world. Yes, many millions and hundreds of millions will die, but Africa will be here, and so will we, brother, to pick up the pieces and rebuild this planet. These beasts are going to war. I could go further. This is all prophecy into our part in America when she goes to war. You don't worry about these over here. They're going to be all right. White folks are going to help them to be all right. I can promise you, brother, when they get finished killing us in the next few days, when the natural disasters that are sweeping America begin to cut off wheat production, food production, and Whitey has to go into his grain storage bins, he's not going to feed us first. He's going to feed himself first. That's right. And when those kind of hard times come, our people are going to pull away from white folks by the droves. You will live to see that, brother, if you just live 24 more months. We will be free. And Azania will be free. And our union will take place. And the brothers from here will be going there. And you from there will be coming here. We intend to link up all over the world in one great struggle against our enemies. The last point I would like to say to you, Malcolm X, whom I met when he came out of prison in 1950, he came out in 52, I think I met him in 53, in Boston. He was attempting to get me to be a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. At that time I was in show business, and he was a radical fella by reputation, and I wanted nothing to do with him. But later, about 2 years later, when I became a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm and I became very, very close. In fact, in his book, he wrote of me under the name Louis X that I was closer to him than his own flesh and blood brothers. Malcolm was the mouthpiece of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not a what you would call articulate man. Malcolm was gifted, beautiful speech. So Malcolm took the ideas of Elijah Muhammad and translated them for the world to hear them. Malcolm's message to the grassroots, is that the one you heard in? Yes. That was made when he was a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But when the record was put out, they deleted all reference to Elijah Muhammad. This is true. Malcolm, before his break from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, recognized that it was Elijah Muhammad's guidance that made Malcolm the world figure that he became. And what I'm suggesting to you, my brother, is not to take anything away from the greatness of Malcolm. But I think we need to look beyond the stars I would like to make a personal gift to you today of the writings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I want you to read what he wrote that turned Malcolm on. And if you are turned on by Malcolm, which you well should be, then dig at the root of what turned him on, then you'll be in a greater position to turn on the brothers and sisters of Azania. Stephen Biko is dead, but he lives in you, and the struggle of Azania is in you, your sincerity, your commitment. Now all you need is to arm yourself with the knowledge of how to go back to Azania, or to feed into Azania information that will stir the people to greater heights of consciousness. My brother, many of our people who are revolutionaries come away from religion because they see religion as the tool that white folks use to oppress us. Therefore, you can't get too many revolutionaries to read the Bible. And in my judgment, that's a mistake. The Bible is the greatest manual for revolution that is present, if you know how to read it. Now, your people in Azania and my people here have been indoctrinated by the Christians into biblical understanding. And if you could take the books of Elijah Muhammad and see his exegesis of Scripture and learn how to use the Bible properly, you could take the very book that they used to enslave us and use that same book to free us. Stokely Carmichael, dear friend of mine, at one point didn't want nothing to do with religion. I said, look here, brother, you can't reach black people. You can't come to no black man talking black talk. Black people want to know, what did Jesus say about it? And if Jesus didn't say it's all right to love black, I ain't coming on that black stuff. And you can go around the South talking about waking up black people, and you can talk socialism, you can talk any ism you want to. If you don't come out of that Bible, you done lost 90% of black people in this country. So the key, in my judgment, to getting Houston awake is understanding that Bible and unloosing the seal of that book. And my brother's going to come back here in a couple of weeks with God's help to join with our brothers and do that for you. So I'm going to make a gift of you of those books, my brother, and I want you to study them. And if you would you please let us stay in touch with each other. Yeah, are you a student here? What is your major, please?
Telecommunications.
Telecommunications. Very good, brother. Very good. How soon do you think? Well, I guess you wouldn't be able to get back home until it's liberated, huh?
Going to assist liberate.
Very good. Very good.